what is the essence, and how does Raymond know that? Is it the love, primordial essence, beautiful beauty, radiance? What is it?
You just get, I call it, said, the great reversal. And you just reverse back the way. You know, that's what it's like to me. It's like layers of moving back the way in terms of vision and perspective. You just, so you just keep saying anything that appears, I'm not that because I'm watching that, I'm not that. It's the neti neti of
Yeah.
Nisa Argadata, the not this, not that.
So what's the inverse of the neti neti? If it's not this and that, it is this, it is that. And what is this as we look deeper into what this all these objects?
Well, you get what the masters are saying at some point, which is it really is indescribable, Sid. It's just it's just being, seeing. It's and how does it feel? It feels very light. There's no weight to it, so it's not heavy. And it's there's no judgment. There's nothing in it that's frightening. Nothing. There's nothing to be afraid of. So there's an absence of fear. Fear is not there. But at the same time, strangely, there's a kind of a bowing down. There's, you get to that point where every moment is a surrender. Every moment, surrender, surrender.
Is a surrender to what? A bowing down to what?
A bowing down to um, well, again, it's not describable at some level, Sid, because there's no one there to describe it. So if you just keep going back, but well, how do you know this, Raymond? How do you know this is not just a thought? Because I know what thoughts taste like. So it kind of has a taste and a fragrance, but not the same as you would taste with your tongue or smell with your nose. You just know it without without any expression or anything mattering or any experience. It's not an experience, it's prior to experience. It's before experience happens. And I do get caught up in mental stories, and
Yeah.
I have very normal feelings, Sid, but yeah, it's it's invisible knowingness.
So when you look in the mirror or look at your Zoom screen and you're seeing this invisible knowingness, what is it?
Um, it's just like presence, Sid. That's all you can say about it. It's just yeah. As soon as I start to try and describe it, I'm coming forward rather than going back. If that makes, I'm leaving this space to describe it. I'm moving into this space, but I'm okay with this space, and I'm okay with looking at Raymond as a name and a body. Um, but most of what I experience, Sid, is not actually the presence of the moment. Most of what I experience are recorded images
And
of
so, so,
old movies that I like watching.
so when there is kind of a moving away to the name and body or to the recorded images, these movies that you like watching, what's the difference? Is there a difference? Are they different than this?
Yeah, yeah. I can tell you said maybe in language, it's a different vibration and a different frequency. So and I'm caught. I say I'm caught. Who's caught? It's just like a sense of a part of me that. So it's almost like I can feel this part of me has popped up. I can
Mm,
solid, right? It's matter. I can feel it. I can touch it. But and it's maybe that I've talked about it before. Said it's maybe faith. There's just and that's a gift. So there's like people talk about having the gift of sight or sixth sense and all that. It's like that. It's like you cannot, and this sounds a bit elitist even when I say it, Sid, because you can't buy this. You can't go and get this because when it becomes this, there's nobody to go and buy it or go and get it.
yes, yes. And so, just because it's you that I'm speaking with here, Raymond, and so then the solid matter pops up, and it's different. It's a different vibration and a different frequency. And then what if that's followed by a but? And if we feel deeper into the solid matter, this name and body, these these recordings of the past, does it not take you to the same place?
No, no, it doesn't. It doesn't take me to the same place because I have a sense, Sid, that even my physical body just now is, I work in IT, right? So I know the way that an old cathode ray tube used to draw the green text on the screen. I know how that works. That's what I see this as. It's faster than the speed of light. I think I'm getting painted moment by moment, but it's not. It's too fast for my
Mm.
mind to see it and catch it. Superman said faster than a speeding bullet, and you can't catch it. You can only be it because if there's somebody trying to catch it, they're appearing, aren't they? But also,
Gosh.
Ted, I will tell you what I do experience, and this is the important part of this because I personally would say this is useless if I'm just, and that's what I meant in my wee blog with your friends, your lovely friends, your lovely non-dual friends, which is the beauty of what you said about the somatic, the body, and going into that, do you not get the same? No, because when that's not the primary identity, my sense of this, Sid, is there's more power gets through. There's more of the source that's not got so much of the scent of Raymond on it. And I think that's what then draws other people. You become the same as Jesus said, Jesus says, I am the gate. And we become a sort of a gateway, a kind of a portal, first of all to ourselves. And then that seems to draw other people in, but it's not Raymond
Nice.
that's drawing them.
Beautiful. And what was your word again? Is the portal, it allows more presence to come through, more.
Say more presence to come through. So when the personality and the thought life and the emotional life and the body are more translucent, it's like it's like that sense of the body mind world becomes kind of more smaller, and this becomes much larger
Okay,
as
awesome.
a sensing.
So here we go. Here we go. Maybe this is where, since we're going to have the opportunity of just the three of us today, probably just the three of us today, what what you're just sharing, Raymond, that some we might say part, some arisings allow more access, allows a greater experience of the presence to come through. They're more translucent to self, to beingness, to this. And others feel more dense, and there's less of an experience of the presence coming through. Before we check in with Sara on this, how's that for a reframe of just a repeat of what you were saying? What to add to that or correct, Raymond?
Yeah, it is like that. I'll give you a little for instance, Sid, right? I used to meet this homeless guy when I went on walks before I met my current partner a couple of years ago, and I'd meet this homeless guy, and there was a couple of times he started crying in the street, and there was a number of times, Sid, when I literally watched like an invisible hand push the darkness away from his mind because he was a bit mental. He was a little bit crazy, this guy, right? But I didn't bother me because I'm a bit crazy. But anyway, and I would watch this, and it wasn't the same as this, Sid, but you know, there's a story with Jesus with the Gadarene demoniac where he comes into his right, he meets a crazy man and he comes into his right mind. So I've experienced that power, not Raymond, not the hand of Raymond, just the portal and that disappearing and watching the life and the light come right into this man's eyes, Sid, where he went right into, I could tell he was in the present moment. He was totally sensing himself as the source. And I watched his face visibly light up, like darkness had left him. And and so I've experienced a lot of stuff, Sid, that's not written in books in that sense. Do you know what I mean? It's so this is you need to experience this. You can't get it from reading books, although books are really helpful.
Mm, beautiful. I love that image with the homeless man. We'll keep. I'm imagining we might keep playing with that today as we play. But first, speaking of translucent presence, of life and light shining through, he there's Sara. Here it is. Here's what you're speaking of, Raymond. It's right here. Oh my gosh.
Oh, hi. Thank you. Oh, there are parts of me that feel like, oh wow, we're late. That's so cute. Thank you. Well, yeah, good to see you. And there was a part of me that was excited to see that, oh, it's just the three of us. And and just happy to hear Raymond go on about the story of the homeless man and just seeing, oh, uh, he always he always has so much passion and knows how to speak very well for his part. So yeah, I really appreciate that. And I have a really sleepy part that is desperately trying to wake up with coffee, but yeah, I'm just so sleepy and I feel so good today. Yeah, it's really good to be here with you.
Wow. That's the sleepy part. It's like, oh, I can wake up with coffee. That's the full welcoming of the sleepy part. Even if it like starts blending with Sara and like Raymond and Sid are talking about something and we notice Sara just kind of like her head starts to go down. It's like it's like and it's just like the full welcoming of that and enjoying of that sweet sleepy part. Oh. And then you say that there's a part that was like, hey, I'm the light. Yay. I'm the light. What's that like when an aspect of us, a part of us, like has that little sense of even playfully, I'm the light, like a little cartoon character. Hey, look at me, I'm the light. What's that? What was that like, Sara? Anything?
Yeah, there's a sense of joy. Um, yeah, there's a sense of happiness. And I've been experiencing that joy the past couple of days, so it feels good. I noticed it singing in the shower, dancing in the kitchen. So I know, oh, there's a joyful part that's coming out a lot. And it's really lighting up life for me. So I really appreciate that part. And yeah, it's just excited and happy to just be alive. It takes pleasure in little things, like the smell of coffee, hot water in the shower. It's just the little things, and it gets so excited and it just wants to sing and dance and just yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I love this part. Thank you, this part. Thank you, Joy.
And then,
um yeah, there was a sad part for a little bit when Raymond was talking about the homeless person. um it reminded me of seeing homeless people, and sometimes feeling helpless, not knowing how to help, and sometimes feeling like being kind to them, feeling like, oh, that's just not enough. There has to be more that I can do. And yeah, and there's one in particular that comes to my mind, um, that I always remember, and it's just seeing um, it's a little boy, and it's always keeps coming to my mind. I was remembering that yesterday as well, so today it's another reminder. I realize there's a part of me that feels guilt for that little boy. That little boy shouldn't be homeless, should have a home. Um, and there's a part of me that feels like, oh, what if that was me? What if I was homeless out there and no one's coming to get me, and I have no home to go to? So I realized that must be an exile somewhere that feels like they can't come home. And I've been trying, um, to connect with that exile, to tell it to come home, that hey, it has a home here, you can come home here. um so yeah, speaking of that, it brought up that, yeah, it brought up that again. So so it's sometimes hard to know that, oh, there's a part of me that's floating somewhere inside, but I just don't know where. And it's hard to connect to it sometimes, but I am aware of it. I know it's there, and I just hope that that awareness is enough. That, hey, just knowing that I know you're there. Can you please come out? And just trying to communicate with it.
wow, but what about that? What about that? Just, I know you're there. I know you're there. I mean, that's really sweet. Let's say you were like, I'm imagining I'm the little kid in the house and I'm really scared, and my parents don't know where I'm hiding, but they just say, we know you're there.
Yeah.
We know you're there, right? Oh my.
Well, when you said that, I did do that as a kid. I used to hide in a closet or under the bed. So I imagine there could be a part of me under a bed somewhere inside.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Know you're there. And so that's as we play together, as we play together today, I guess my question for all of us is, how big is our playground? How deep is our playground? Does our playground include the basement, parts that are hidden, or does it include under the bed? Is that included in our playground? The closet, what's hidden in the closet, is that included in our playground? And then, though, the aspects of us that are like singing in the shower and dancing in the kitchen and feeling this joy of life and dance, that those might seem like they're in the spotlight. Can our like can our vision like increase to include this bigger playground, and for those aspects of us that like I can't even see them. I know there's a part of me that feels homeless, I can't see it. And other parts of me that feel afraid. Can there be a sense of, I know you were there? While the parts are dancing on the playground and singing, and there's still, it's like the awareness isn't, we're not blended with a part that's just focusing on those. We're not blended with the part that's like, I want more of that. I want more dancing and singing. Instead, we see the part. We're aware of the part that's like dancing and singing. That's so much fun. Let's just do that. Come on, everybody. Let's just do that. We're aware of the part that wants that. And this awareness also is just equally including the I know you were there parts that are under the bed. And what's it like in our system if there's truly that welcoming? Do you think bubble, Sarah? Then we can see where Raymond goes with all of this.
I, I could feel emotions, some sadness, some fear. When I was saying, I know you're there, you can come out. It's like the awareness of this part being there. And there's also a sense of relief that it knows that it's welcome, but it doesn't trust enough to come out.
Is that, and so here's in my system, the big question is that okay? That my parts that know they're welcomed, they know they're welcomed here. Perhaps even there's a playground, a bouncy house, a cake, a clown, a magician. It's all here for them. But they're like, but they don't trust enough to come out. Is that okay? And not just okay, can we find that that's equally welcomed as if they came out and said, hey, mom, I'm here, or hey, I'm here now? Can it just be equally welcomed just the way it is? The ones that are hiding under the bed and they're like, there's no way I'm coming out. I'm not ready yet. I might stay down here a lot longer. Can that truly be welcomed just as it is? All right. Anything bubble with all of this, Raymond, for you? As Sarah takes us to this beautiful setting, into this playground, into these parts, into the bedroom, and those that are hiding, and that I know you were there.
Yeah, I resonate. And as soon as so I'll tell you what I feel when you were talking, Sarah, right? Because this is how we know something, isn't it? It's all energy, and then we describe it with words, right? But when you were talking about the wee boy, so there's aspects of my recorded experience that are a wee boy as well. And those energies of a wee boy appear to me, especially in real life. You know, my youngest son is 18 on tomorrow. I've got 4 children. And at the same time, so this is what was interesting with my own experience. So on the one hand, my awareness and my attention and my discernment was focused on what Sarah was saying. So I could feel that. I could feel your sadness, because that's what happens when we draw into the self. We become very empathic. We begin to feel the emotions of others very deeply. But maybe when we've got capacity, and we get that capacity from doing exactly what you've just described, Sarah. So I feel a little bit of my own homecoming sadness, energy, and that kind of empties out that particular storehouse. Thich Nhat Hanh would refer to these things as storehouses. So there's some things stored up, so you experience some of that sadness. Then at the same time, Sid was the background doing the little dance thing. And it was like, this is what I realize in part about the self, that it can experience everything at the same time. That's why it's so powerful and so incredible. It doesn't, but also my experience of life is that I'm actually drawn more to sad and hurting people than I am to happy dancing. But I love happy dancing. There's not that we need happy dancing, but something in me and in the in my reason for being here, I seem to be drawn into, and I think it's love. I think it's love that compels this, where I just want people to feel precious about themselves. And when there's something I know that's hurting someone, I think I've got the heart of the Lord, which is a great physician. The Lord wants to heal. Actually, that's one of the biblical names. You know, there's I don't know if you know this, but there's lots of Jehovah names of God in the Bible. So Jehovah Jireh would be provider. There's Jehovah Nissi. There's all these Jehovah something, which describes the qualities of God. And of course, one of them is Jehovah the healer. And again, don't get fixated on any man-made Christian image of anything, but the essence and the quality said that I was experiencing there. One part of me was dancing with you, and the other part of me went to my own Raymond's experience of Raymond's little boy that was rejected as a wee boy and was hurt as a wee boy, and Raymond's son changing and that relationship changing, all of it happening and flowing at the same time. And the word you used is a good word, Sid, which is welcoming. There just doesn't seem to be. It's Rumi's guest house. That's probably that's why that's such a beautiful foundation for these groups, because all are welcome. And actually the ones that are hurting the most and the ones that need the most, they get front of the queue in my heart. Because they're the ones that aren't okay. So by their own measurement, not by my measurement, I already think they're okay. But they need so that's what invokes in me, Sid. I can easily float between being really sad and being really joyful, or both of them happening at the same time. And it's like pain and pleasure meet together at their ultimate balance becomes pure joy. So when you're not concerned about being pain, you're not overly concerned about being pleasure, pure joy is what is the blending of those two.
What about, I already think they are okay? That's a big deal, like for all of us. As a sad part arises, as Raymond, you describe a kind of a little boy in you that was kind of rejected and is hurting. Right? We all can find our inner child, that inner child expression that had difficulties, and we can still feel that. And then I already think they are okay. There's a sense of a knowing that there's not a problem here. What do we see for each of us in the midst of the sadness, the pain, the child under the bed? Like there's something here that knows, but I know they are okay, that there's okayness there. How does it know that? What's the knowing? Is it like we play with words here, trying to be windows to that knowing, like innocence, beauty, radiance, perfection, love? In your system, what's your window to know that even in the midst of a part of you, an aspect of you that's really sad, that's hurting, that they are okay? How does that found? Sarah, anything, how does your system know that? What does it see?
There's a sense of we're okay, like feel a feeling of okayness. I'm okay in this moment, so we're all okay. So yeah, so there's that feeling that, oh, we're okay.
And when you see the part, when you see a part that's afraid, that's nervous, that's anxious, that feels judged, how do you how are you able to, for that okayness to even include the sense of that part at the same time in its pain?
Mm. There's there's a sense of um I don't want to gaslight my little ones, my wee ones, the wee ones under the bed. I don't want to gaslight them and say you're okay, even though you're hiding and afraid and hurt. But as a whole, as a system, in this moment, I'm okay. So these parts, it's like even if a part of me is 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 suffering, but as a whole, I'm okay. And I can see that suffering of that little wee one. I'm aware of it. It's there. But at the same time, there's a sense of giving that little one hope that you can come out. You can come out from under that bed. I know you're there and I'm okay and I can take care of you and you can trust me. And I loved what Raymond said about um, making your, feeling precious about yourself. So it's like feeling precious about these little ones. Letting that little one under the bed know that it's precious to me, even if it's afraid or hurt in some way. It's precious to me, and I love it, and I want it to come out, and I want to take care of it. And there's a sense there's a sense of okayness that everything's going to be okay. Um, you know that if it just came out, I can take care of it and make whatever is bothering it go away. Um, yeah, and there's a sense of goodness in that, a good feeling
Wow.
of, oh, everything eventually is going to be okay.
So how about that, Sarah? Like I love you're precious to me.
Yeah.
You love you. It's like there. I have parts that want like I want Sarah to say that to me. It's like that's so beautiful. You're precious. You're precious to me. I love you. And it's like in so there's their pain that's there. And I love that you said we don't want to gaslight them. We don't want to jump over this. We don't want to just say everything's okay. There's not a problem here. Right? It's like so I love the way you said as a whole, I'm okay. There's okayness here. And then that other side to like, and then this devotion to the parts, whatever their experiences, whatever their story is, like fully welcoming, meeting, hearing, feeling, grokking, getting. And then at the same time, you're precious to me. I love you. Like, what's that like for our parts to be met the way Sarah describes her system? It just sounds so yummy to be met that way. What's that like? Anything else bubbling with that, Sarah?
There's just enormous sense of relief. Oh, like um, that that part, feeling welcomed, and and that I'm aware of it, and I'm okay with it. and that I have good intentions for it, that I want to help it, I want to take care of it. And I just see it as a precious little one, with whatever it's going through, and that I just want to make it feel even better. And there's a sense of relief in that. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, Raymond, you opened this one up for us. You opened this of, I already think they are okay. The sense of the knowing that the aspects of you that are in pain, there's a knowing. In Sarah's words, as a whole, I'm okay. How does your system see it? Like for her, she describes it, they're precious to me. I love them. How does yours see the okayness or know the okayness, even in the midst of parts of you that are perhaps going through, real difficulty?
Yeah, so right now, as we're speaking, Sid, there's a part of me that has no self-worth, none. Like I feel worthless. But that part of me that feels worthless, useless, no good, whatever we describe it as. So that's here right now as I'm speaking to you. And I feel really sad about that, but that's what it feels like a little bit. But that sense of that appearing, and it is just an appearing. The only reason, Sid, that I can love myself as unworthy, as being precious, is because it's not, and we know this in IFS language, it's not the unworthy one that changes and begins to love and that becomes a worthy one. No, that unworthy one will be with me until I die. But because every single time I fuck up in whatever way that that manifests as an unworthy one or some dodgy set of thoughts or whatever, the presence of love always comes alongside me and hugs me and kisses me in such a way that I know the divine is not concerned about my, as Ram Dass would call them, my little schmoozies, these things that I'm worried about, these unworthy things, and what that causes in me and my humanness as well as my divine is that love grows. So when we say when people talk about expanding consciousness, right? For me, I translate that as expanding in love. You just, I've been loved so many times, Sid, and actually, I'm going to say this is really important. I need this sense of unworthiness. I don't want it to be fixed. Why? Because it keeps me real. It keeps me not thinking about myself higher than anyone else. It keeps me human. It makes me humble. Do you see what I mean, Sid? If
Yeah.
I fix all these things, then I become someone that's slightly higher than others. I'm at a different stage than you, and I think that's then just inflated ego.
This, because it comes off as a pretty strong line to some parts, what you said. The unworthy one will be with me until I die. All right, because I'm guessing, like when some systems hear that, there's a sense of a part. It's like, no, this is why I'm doing this work. So these parts won't be with me until I die, till they'll be healed and relieved. And just to, like, I noticed that. And then, like, what you're pointing to for me is just such precious humanity. That this unworthiness part, it can be here. Not only can it be here, but like that often in non-dual groups, right? We want everything to dissolve and just go back to the ocean and disappear. And here it's a little different. There's a celebration of all these aspects of us, this unworthy aspect of us. Like as it, and this is what they call unburdening. Perhaps it loses its charge. It's here, but it's not blending. It's not controlling us anymore. It's here. And then I love how it just opens you up into a deeper humanity, into the depth of humanity, that when someone is speaking of their unworthiness part, it's like, I know this so well. Would you like to hear mine speak? It's like it's all here. And just again, what we were playing with earlier with the playground, the size of our playground, can it fully include this unworthiness part? And even the sense of it, this unworthy parts that might never change, it might be here forever, just the way it is. Can that be fully included in our playground? What else you got, Raymond?
Well, just that final thing, and then maybe we chat to Sarah. But the final point of that, Sid, is this. And I know this for me as a fact. I don't control my thoughts, Sid. So what I'm saying is, when now there are somatic markers, there are emotional things, there are body memories. I get all that with that unworthy one, but I'm not making it appear, and I am talking about being healed, but the healing is not in fixing. The healing is in accepting. The accepting that I am both light and dark. And but there does seem to be a sort of a sense of qualities of goodness and kindness and gentleness that come with the true nature. So, and I think that's why people get afraid, says, because they think if I can't fix it or change it, let me say, I'm always going to be a criminal. Right, okay. And that's where the fear comes in. But that's because that deeper part of us wants to control. We want to be in control of all the fixing and healing. And that's not my experience. I've had all sorts of difficult habits and things like that said, and I've cried and cried and cried because of what, and I've sought help for them and this, that, and the Lord said, just leave it. Just leave that there. I love that. Just leave it. And it doesn't make sense to my mind. My mind's like, no, because Sid will think I'm a bad person, or, Sarah will think I'm not as holy as I used to be. But it's humbling. And I need that humbling. I would become so full of myself in the small s sense, Sid. So I'm glad that these little brakes are on the vehicle where the ego doesn't just shoot into outer space. It's like,
Yes.
no, you don't want to go there, because that, that in that, I know that if I get super inflated, I'll end up really hurting myself. So ultimately, the pleasure will become pain.
Nice. So perhaps even there's another gift that gets to added to this with what you're describing. This perfection of our imperfection. Instead of, I love that line, instead of healing as fixing, Raymond, it's healing as acceptance.
Like I'm broken, Sid. I'm telling you right now, up here, Sid, one last thing. If I go up and live in my thoughts, at times it's pure hell. I can't, I've been stopped. We call it in certain circles as being set apart. It's almost like that. It's like the grace has allowed me at times not to time travel, but I still do at times, but not as much. And it's a protection to not go into past and future when I don't need to for understanding.
Yes. Ooh. Two things arise. One is with this acceptance, describing of what is inside of us. this is what I love about IFS again, the way the you know the movie Inside Out that Sarah and I just adore, Inside Out, right? As we this is they don't show unfortunately they don't show this in the movie. I don't think they show it in the movie. You have to correct me, Sarah, on this one, but it's like as we really like love our parts, as the joy loves the parts, there's all welcomed. If as we welcome those, as we see the innocence and beauty and enjoy our parts, it's like sometimes the whole freaking world changes. It's like it just gets projected, and then we start. All we see is that the perfection of the imperfection. It's just the beauty of what is out there, and that it just seems to be. I love the magic of that. Um, that's one. And the other thing, Raymond, I think I'm gonna push back a little bit with what you shared. I think that as you describe the the set apart, the pure hell. Like if I really went up into these thoughts, if I really went into what was here, which I love that there isn't a sense of bypassing or moving away from. It's like there's a real acknowledgement of, even though in our groups often people speak of Raymond as, and then there's Raymond, Raymond who is just this love, this purity, this beingness. And then at the same time, there's all of this that's still here, like all of it, the imperfection, the brokenness. But I think what happens, I think the not going here, I think that what happens is that we become more and more intimate with that pure hell, with that cacophony that's happening inside our head. That it just that we become more intimate with it. I'm going to turn it back over to you because I just threw those things out, and we'll see where Sarah goes with all of this.
So, yes, the difficulty with speaking and words is unlike presence. I can't cover everything with the same sentence. So everything's just nothing. And that's what I get. I get this about Ramana Maharshi and Nisargadatta and even Alan Watts at times and Rupert Spira. They'll be like, don't believe anything I say because everything I'm saying is just I'm already separating self by talking about an individual thing, if that makes sense. But the hell stuff, you're right. I have faced hell, Sid. Like the proverbial Buddhist story, I've put my head right in the mouth of demons and said, eat me. Do it. Do your worst. And by the way, I'm not advocating that we go and find demons to put our head inside. That's not wise. I'm just using that analogously at the moment. But so there is that sense, but I don't need to live there all the time because I stay here. I don't live up there. I just visit it now and again.
Thank you. Wow, so how are we doing? We're 45 minutes in. How are we doing? Because this is intense when it's just the two of us, three of us, and we're just like we're doing this deep diving. Like we get to go to deeper places sometimes like this, and just how are you? How are you doing? Like I'm gonna do my little shake thing. How are you doing? Like what's it like? What's it like being you right now? How are you? Is it like self? What parts are here? It's like, whoa, that's intense. That's intense. That's a lot. Whoa. It's like to notice the parts. And it's like, God, I'm having the spotlight on me so much more today. It's just like, listen, we're doing this. It's a lot. And then while we're shaking it off and being with what's here, like, is everything welcome that's coming up? All of our parts that are coming up, are they all welcome? Like, how big is our playground right now? Is it including under the bed? Is it including the closet, the basement? Is it including, I know you are here. I know you are here. I can't see you, but I know you are here and you're welcome. As all of that's going on, let me do my 30 seconds of housekeeping. I'm a mediator. I'm not a psychotherapist. Everybody's good, being responsible for their own journeys today. If I get a thumbs up, please. And secondly, as always, I'm being recorded, only my image, and it might be shared, blah, 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 blah. If you're good with that, thumbs up, please. Okay. Woo, woo. What's going on, Sarah? What's happening, Sarah?
Wow, yeah, Yeah, that was oh, that was amazing. Um, well, two things came from me. Well, I love when you mentioned Inside Out because yeah, I remembered that part in the movie. Um, I don't know if it's the same thing, but there's a part where memories from the past, core memories come up, and how when joy touches them, they're illuminated, they're yellow, they're in the color of joy. But if sadness touch them, they become blue, they become sad. So the whole memory changes. The whole reality of that world is changing when they're touched with different feelings. Um, and there's a moment when the child in the movie is depressed, and then the whole system becomes gray, so it loses color. It becomes colorless. It's neutral. Um, so so it's like different perspective of the world changes within a person, with whatever feeling they're feeling. And if they're not feeling anything, it just becomes gray, it becomes neutral. It loses life, it loses color. And that what made me, yeah, that made me think of how, um, how we see the world and how we experience it changes with how we're feeling, or how we're not feeling if we're numb. Yeah, and it's just it's amazing, and it can happen in a split second. And some memories were both blue and yellow when both feelings touched them, when joy and sadness came together. So it became like a bittersweet. And I think it's what Raymond was speaking of, about the pain and pleasure together when they blend.
How about that? How about just the realness of what you're just saying? How joy touches a memory and it just becomes yellow, and it's like, wow. But then sadness touches a memory and it becomes blue. And in IFS terms, it's like if we blend with sadness, to notice how that sadness, that blue, can just pervade through our system when we blend with it. And whatever thoughts are coming up, they're blue. The memories are blue. Even my birthday party from when I was 10 years old, if I'm blended with sadness, it'll be blue.
Yeah, and not just the memories, even the now moment when they touch the control panel in the now moment. So it's not just the past, it's even the future, the present moment. So yeah.
And so, okay, this is let's just the three of us. Let's push it further. This the playground, the control panel. Sadness is at the control panel. All the other parts are going, oh no, sadness is at the control panel. And so everything
Everything's
just kind of
blue.
becomes blue, right? And so let
Everything's
me
sad and gloomy.
so from at the same time as we're aware of the playground. We're aware this is happening. Oh, there's sadness. Sadness is at the playground. Wow, the whole playground's become blue. Everything's become blue. And you can feel it in the body. It's becoming blue. There's a little bit of heaviness, whatever the blueness is. You know how sadness speaks, and it's like that pervades. Can that be okay? It's like, wow, it's like, this is what the weather is right now. The playground, everything has turned blue. And just like, she's a character in the movie, and it's like a movie, it's like just like that. Can it be enjoyed? Can there be a sense of not just there's a welcoming, and maybe there's an okayness with it. Like we look at where, like, an acceptance of it. There's an acceptance of what is. Oh, there's blue. Maybe there's an okayness with it. There seems to be gradations of where we like, can it even go more? Can there be an enjoyment of it? Like, wow, look, sadness is touching the control panel. Everything's blue. I'm feeling like, oh, like to lift my legs. I feel really heavy. And it's like, I find like whenever I talk, it's like I'm complaining about, do I really have to go outside? Do I really have to do this? I don't want to do that. You can feel all of that. And my question is, as all of that's occurring on our playground, can it be enjoyed? How you doing? How you doing with that? Playing with that, Sarah? What comes?
Yeah, it's just being human. We have these feelings. This is how we express sometimes. Sometimes we feel blue, and sometimes we feel joy, and that's okay. It's just the way we are. And sometimes we don't feel anything, we're numb and everything's gray. And all of these feelings are okay. And yeah, that what makes us human.
And then what's it like for sadness? What's it like for the sad parts of us, right? We all have the sad parts, we have the vulnerable, scared parts, the depressed parts. What's it like for those when they really hear what you just said, the sense of enjoying what is, like really beyond welcoming them, and they're just okay just the way they are, even if they take over and we're feeling sadness and we don't want to get out of bed. Like even like what's it like for those parts of us to be truly welcome to that degree? What's that like inside of you, Sara?
They feel like I'm giving them permission to express how I feel. Um, and that's what they do. They just help me experience being human and express it.
And I'm guessing, like I have a theory when Raymond was describing walking up to this homeless man, and he described that, I'm a little crazy too. I have no problem with this. There's not a reaction. There's just an understanding, a love of it. But Raymond's like, yeah, but it's like I have a sense that maybe that was similar to like our parts that are truly being welcomed just the way they are, right? As you described that perhaps for that homeless man in the experience with Raymond, because then Raymond describes it's like the life and light. It just started coming through his eyes and lighting him up. And something in him was was recognizing, wow, I am not separate from the source. I'm not separate from being. Something in him was becoming more translucent to beingness as Raymond saw this life and light coming through his eyes. There's something similar to our parts when they are truly, truly welcomed and enjoyed just the way they are. The sadness, the depression, the anger, the frustration, the resignation, when those parts are truly accepted and enjoyed as they are, might the same thing happen? Wow, we've seen the life and light start to kind of light up their face and their eyes. Anything else, Sara, for you? And then we'll see where Raymond goes with all this.
There was something about suffering and being in hell and all of that. Um, there's a part of me that feels like, oh, it's already there. It's already it's just suffering. It's in hell. Um, and there's a part of me that felt like, oh, I'm not bothered by this health stuff anymore, and I wonder why that is. And just I don't know if it's spiritual bypassing or I'm just not sure. But there's a part of me that doesn't believe in that anymore or is not afraid of it anymore. I don't know how. Um, look, I noticed it in when Raymond was talking about demons and asking the demon to just do your worst. I'm not afraid. There was that sense of fearlessness, um, and it's kind of naive as well because well that thing can hurt you, but you're fearless of it anyway. Um, but that part kind of doesn't understand or doesn't acknowledge that this thing is real. Um, and it's come up for me a lot lately. Like I noticed it in even watching some movies um, when there's a scary movies sometimes and not feeling afraid. I'm feeling like, oh, it's just a movie. It's silly. Um, and realizing, oh, that part is not afraid of anything anymore. Even if I already know what the movie is about. Um, and and that part is just it's just enjoying the ride. It's just there for the ride, but it doesn't really feel that fear. And I wonder if it's numb to fear or if it just sees fear as an illusion, like it's not real. If it's too naive or just unaware.
So what about another possibility with this? this that's changing. It's like, wait, what's going on here? It's like I know there's an experience of some hell here and being and suffering. And then am I just being numb? Is it just this just kind of numbing to it? And in the IFS game, it's the context is a little different, and I have a theory that that's kind of what's happening in your system. The updating that's occurring, even the sense of Raymond said something I just loved it as far as what healing is in his system, that it changed, that healing used to be fixing, and healing has changed to acceptance. Like that's a
Oh, I love
I could, it's a big deal, right? It's a big deal. And as our playground increases, as we even we're even accepting sadness and it's pervading, we're playing with all of this. And this is what, you've been leading us on for, I don't know how long we've been doing this, months, years, playing in this, Sarah. And it's, as there's an acceptance, as of in the suffering, because that's what Raymond was talking about. He's talking about this little wee young part of him, this boy that was suffering, and there's a sense of acceptance of that, and acceptance of the unworthiness. And it's like as you keep playing with that, Sarah, because you have this incredible capacity to know the way your intimacy with your parts, this intimacy with the parts, and with this intimacy, what was your words? You're precious to me. I love you. You're precious to me. I love you. As that pervades more into the suffering, my theory is just these tipping points happen. This updating happens, which seems to be like, oh, am I numbing out? But I think instead there's a sense of, just like you're saying, there's always an okayness here. There is, in the whole, there's an okayness. And so with that being there, it's less terrifying for the parts when there's you're precious to me, I love you, and there's an okayness in here. That's my theory. Where you go with all this, Sarah?
That there's a sense that fear and suffering is an illusion, and I'm not I'm validating the parts of me that are afraid or suffering, but they're like little kids hiding under the bed because they see monsters in the room, in the darkness of the room within. And I'm trying to convince the little ones that there's nothing in the room. They're okay. There's no monsters here. You're safe. You can come out. You can see for yourself. I can shed some light on that dark corner so you can see that there's no monster there. And as the little one sees that, oh, it's safe, it's an illusion. It's an illusion. That fear is an illusion. Then that little one is okay. And I feel like that's what's updating is happening.
Mm.
That's the updating, the educating, the awareness, awakening that little one,
Yeah.
letting see that it's fear, it's all an illusion, and that suffering is unnecessary. And it's even in the unworthy part that Raymond was speaking of. It brought up my unworthy part as well, and I had to sit with that one with a little while and just let it know that that unworthy feeling is an illusion. It's worthy, it's enough, it's lovable, and it's precious to me. I love you and you're precious to me. You're worthy of love. And this unworthiness, it's an illusion, and it's a burden that you need to unburden. And when I give it that love, as it unburdens a little bit, it sees the truth of its true reality, its true nature, that it's worthy, that it's loved, that there's nothing to be afraid of or to be suffering for, that that suffering is unnecessary. and that it can come up again and again when something happens, when someone says something to it, or it fails at something, and it feels unworthy again. And then I have to remind it again that it's worthy, that this situation is an illusion, that it's not really the truth of you, that the truth of you is that you're loved and worthy no matter what happens to you. And I love you anyway, and you're precious to me.
Yes. The truth of that. Love you, you're worthy, you're precious to me. And I just want to add, just the addendum that I know is always there, which something that you said earlier, and there's scary things and there's suffering, and some of this is real, right? So at the same time, monsters aren't real. There's parts are scary. We have scary things that have happened. And I know in your system, Sara, the infinite compassion and understanding and meeting of, like, there's a sense of the clarity, this capital C clarity that's here. Like, no, there are no monsters. Everything's okay. And simultaneous with that, what I hear in your system is a meeting and a loving of them, and in the realness of their fear. Just can all of that be there? I don't want. I was a little concerned that some parts might be felt like they might be being made wrong, and I know that doesn't in your system. It just loves and welcomes what is too. Just before we go to Raymond, how are you doing? How's it going, Sara?
Yeah, yeah, you said it. You said it perfectly. You said, yeah, it's that clarity. Yeah, the parts that are updating.
Yeah. And is it okay, just again for all of us, that we have some parts that I can't even find them? You said, like, I know you're there, but you can't even find them because they're not ready yet. They're not ready, and they might never be ready. They're under the bed, they're in the basement, they're in the closet. And just again, just this love of what is it okay that they stay, that they're there just the way they are, and that nothing changes? Even if I always hate this statement. This is what Rupert Sparrow used to say, and I hate this statement so much. Even if they never change, even if they stay this way forever, can we find okayness with that? All right, let's shift up. Let's shift over to Raymond and Sara and see what's bubbling for him with all of this richness that you've taken us on. How's it going, Raymond?
Yeah, I'm good, Sid. Um, a lot of the ways that we are able to face into some stuff is because we have courage. And how do we get courage? Well, people encourage us, and the Lord encourages you. So when you fall down, you get up again, and all that sort of stuff. But I want to encourage you, Sara, because I genuinely have the sense that you are much closer to the divine. And I don't think you need to go anywhere to be any closer. I'm just saying the way that you speak and the way that you articulate your own feelings and your sense of that comes across as extremely spiritual and wise. And I'd like you to take that like a little bunch of flowers, Sara. Don't don't grasp it and don't throw it away. Don't do anything with what I'm saying other than be encouraged that. So what you described there about you can now watch movies that don't frighten you as much, right? And I know for my system, let's speak in that language, why that is. And it's so I'll give you the exact, because I did the same thing as well. I used to be terrified of watching horror movies. And I was actually traumatized by The Exorcist back in the day when it first came out. Totally shit myself. I just didn't like it at all. But when I began to feel my own fear, you could say pass through it, like what you're describing. So even today, Sarah, you've passed through a little bit of the unworthiness. You've passed through the fear of the one under the bed, or whatever energetic story. You're passing through them today. And so am I. I've talked about my unworthiness. I've passed through that a wee bit. And the more we pass through this wall of, we need to go through this energy, like fear, we pass through it so much, we empty of fear. So when we watch that horror movie again, the fear was never in the images. The image, you turn the music down in a horror movie and it doesn't really bother you that much. It's the creepy music that gets you. Aye. But so this process that I can see clearly that you're in, I'm in it, Sid's in it, this kind of passing through energetic vibration and frequency, we give it stories and names, and it deepens us and it transforms us. It's like magic. It's like turning base metal to gold. It's alchemy. We're not doing this. It's a divine process. But you've described to me exactly what I went through, Sarah. So it's only the mind that doubts. So when I say don't doubt, only believe. And I'm saying believe as well. I'm hazarding a guess here, right? A large part of the stories in my mind, Sarah, are full of lies or half-truths. It's not the truth. A lot, like you said about the illusion and stuff, and yeah, us three here today, we know this stuff's relatively real, we experience it, but it's not true. It's not the truth. And that's why it's appearing, because you can't describe the truth. You can only describe what it's not. It's not this lying, this hell, it's not all that. All of that is appearing inside this true nature, which is absolutely loving all of this all of the time. It never stops loving, not even for a nanosecond. Love is always present, always, always, underneath everything. And when you get down the geographic spiritual layers of that, and you get under all the rock formations of what we're passing through, and you taste and touch that, then you know this. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to get it. You don't need to go anywhere. You are this. Sid is this right now. You are this right now. And so am I. And then thoughts and feelings and bodily sensations will appear. But they can only appear because we are here first. Then they come. If we weren't consciously here, nothing could appear. Nothing. Who does it appear to? You. But you come second. So do I. So primary, and this is all the Eckhart Tolle stuff, isn't it? Said that consciousness is primary, experience is secondary. So it's and like all the scriptures and all that talk of this, choose this day whom you will follow. Well, even that choice needs to be divine. And actually said, I really want to take a moment just to thank you. See me attending these sessions, said they're really divine for me. They really are. And they're a training ground for me, said. Because like Sarah said at the beginning, Raymond can speak and he can say, I'm getting more confident just to be more and more honest. And I'm less concerned about this, saying, oh, you shouldn't say that, and oh, they'll think this. I'm just like, well, if I get it wrong, I'll learn something. I'll park it there. But yeah, just that encouragement that you are, when I say you are close, Sarah, you're there already. You're there. There's nowhere else to go, but just a kind of, just more sensing into it, and what you described in your emotions touching everything. Last thing, a man goes into the doctors And he says, "Doctor, doctor, I don't know what's wrong with me. Everything that I touch is sore." He went, "Yeah, you've broken your finger. And I'm a broken finger. And I'm also a loving finger." Does that make sense? So sometimes, like you said, Sarah, sometimes I touch it with a broken finger, it's going to feel broken. Sometimes I touch it with a loving hand, and it's just love. And both are there.
Thank you. Isn't that fun, Sarah? It's like Raymond's version of the Inside Out characters. It's like the broken finger or the loving finger.
Oh, it's amazing. I just love that. Yeah. And yeah, I love that what you said about how fear you don't feel fear when when it's not within. Like we feel fear because it's already there.
Yeah.
And the less it's there within us, the less we see it out there.
Yeah,
And
we
to
don't project it. We are the projector.
yeah, and other feelings as well. Yeah, it's just like the broken finger. And just like, oh, seeing someone who's in love, and they just whatever they touch it with love, and they see everything in, just being in love. And it's like they're walking on flowers when they walk down the street, and you can just sense it. Yeah. And then you see someone else who's really broken, and they're just like the broken finger. They're gloomy and sad, and whatever they touch, it hurts. um yeah. Oh
And
God.
that's why I said, Sarah, when I was flipping between the two, and again, actually, St. Paul in the Bible talks about this as the modus operandi for evangelism, right? Which is, he said, "I have become all things to all men, that I might win some or draw some people in to the Spirit of Christ." And what he meant there is exactly what I said. When I'm with a happy person, I share their joy. When I'm with a sad person, I share their sadness. And when I share their sadness, they're free to be sad. And when I share their joy, they're free to be joyful. And nobody's right or wrong. They just are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they just are. Just being human.
Yeah. And it's lovely being human. And our relationship, like what you said about fear, it is about that, Sid, isn't it? It's about, and IFS is that model which says there's a central self and the relationship between self and the parts. But eventually the parts, they're just an extension of the self. They're not, like Rupert Spira says, the only thing that exists is awareness and then experience, but experience is not separate from awareness. Like the inside is outside and the outside is inside. Right across the spectrum, there's nothing separate. It is one. And when you sense the oneness of one, you're free to hurt and you're free to heal. Like it says in the scriptures, there is a time for everything under the sun, a time to heal, a time to die, so on and so forth.
So all of this, they just are. Can we apply that to our parts, to what arises in us? They just are. And in that,
Like a bike.
oh my. It's like, it's just, for me, there's just like in playing with the playground, the space, the size, they just are. It's like looking at a kindergarten playground, all you see is the beauty of the kids. They just are. It's like our inner playground, all of our parts, the ones under the bed, the closet, all of them. They just are. And then this is where it gets to be so cool. Kind of like the movie thing, kind of like watching the horror movie. It's like, wow, the horror movie experience changes. And we go out in the world and we experience people yelling at us, cutting us off, mean, rushed, and anything that they say, like, could it really be they just are? They just are. And I share that because that's the interesting. It's exciting for me, the possibility of this. Not spirituality is a sense of going into nothingness, emptiness, bliss, love, oneness. It's all nice, but this is better for me. This is more interesting. They just are. That's more interesting. The beauty of that. As we move towards closure, we'll move into a little early because this is so intense today. The three of us. What's anything else bubbling? Anything else like, wait a minute, we gotta talk about this. Anything else bubbling? What's here?
That's Rumi, my little dog here, right? But and I called him Rumi, said because I got divorced about 4 years ago. And it was a very, very difficult time because I had to leave my children. And that broke my heart, literally. Um, and the Lord started sending me lots of Rumi stuff, loving me, just loving me while I was in grief and stuff. But what I love about Rumi is, and I suggest we find objects like this. So when I'm petting Rumi and I love him so much, I feel like I'm nurturing my own soul. So I love him, and I always tell him he's a good boy, and I love him so much. And I know that when I'm saying it to this part of self, because he's got life in him, right? I like that. Everything you do to anyone else, you're doing to yourself. And so I know that when I'm loving Rumi, I'm speaking to that wee lost boy. And I'm saying, you're a lovely boy. I love you so much. I'm still waiting for the miracle when he speaks back, but he hasn't done that yet. I'm looking forward to when he just says, I love you too, Raymond. That's all I've got to say, love. Love said. It's love. Just called you love. Mm.
Hmm. Anything final, Sarah?
Yeah, I yeah, I can share the same with my cat. Um, yeah, my cat Aurora, sometimes she meows when I say to her I love you, and she just meows. So I feel like she does say I love you back in her own words. Um, yeah, and sometimes she would just headbutt me or just lick me, and then I know, oh, she loves me too. Yeah, and it's just how, just um if I feel like sometimes if I treat my wee ones, I just love that word, the wee my wee ones, if I treat them the way I treat my cat, um they would feel really loved. So it's like these pets, they teach us in a sense how to love. It's just so natural with pets, and it's just like how it's so natural with little kids. um when you're treating a little child or a small animal, and it just comes to me, why don't I treat myself like that as well? And when I started doing that, uh talking to my wee parts that way, they started to open up more. I listen to them now more deeply. And when I journal, sometimes I talk to them the way I talk to my cat. and oh boy, it just pours out. Yeah, I hear I hear a lot. And yeah, it's just the love. And I feel like it's the other way around, that these little pets, they bring out they bring out that love in us. They say that love first in energy. So that's why we say to them, "Oh, I love you," because yeah, I just feel like it loves me more than I love it. I swear. Like sometimes I feel like, oh God, um, this
Mm.
cat really loves me, and I don't know why. And then I just my parts just feel like, oh, we're so loved.
Yeah, my dog's a better person than I am.
Yeah, they're just pure. They're just pure and just so innocent.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just I'll give you a wee Scottish word, Sarah, because you're saying wee ones, yeah. In Glasgow and in Scotland, we call the children the wains, and it's
Oh,
spelled Weans, and that's short for wee ones. We say the
wow.
wains, the wains. Are the wains okay? Shut those wains up, you know, which means tell them to be quiet. Shut the wains
Mm.
up. So we say the wains in Scotland. The wains, the wee ones.
It's so
Oh
cute.
gosh, beautiful. I had a final word. I wanted to just kind of acknowledge what when Raymond was talking about this being kind of helpful as a training space for him as he comes and we all explore together and we meet each other and we fully include and we celebrate and love everything that's arising in each of us. And I love that. That's and it's just such a ditto here that this is where so much it's not just training, it's like so much of the learning and opening seems to happen here for me. And it's like just to dive in and follow and be with all of these exquisite parts of each of us and all of these clarities. I mean, look, I mean, my God, I could listen to this video 3 times and just be just taking in, trying to follow fully get what Raymond and Sarah, what you were sharing today. There's so much and there's such a richness, and the playground expands and opens in my system through that, through what we do here today. And this is where this opening just continues. And thank you. Thank you. It was a
Oh,
privilege
thank
and
you, Sid.
treat.
Thank you,
Thank
Sid,
you
and
so
thank
much.
you, Sarah. I really love you both. I
Oh,
really love you both. Thank you for your sharing your hearts. It's beautiful. Yous are beautiful and precious, and I love you.
Mhm.
thank you. Ah.